program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Sometimes you walk through life alone, wondering if anyone understands what you are going through, hoping someone will listen and offer a word to make your day. The Church of God of Prophecy offers unconditional love and support, regardless of what you are going through. Visit cogop.ca for a location near you. The Church of God of Prophecy, developing authentic disciples of Christ.
Good evening and welcome to another segment of Let's Talk. It's good to have you joining us this evening. I'm your host, Woodroe Thompson. My guest this evening is a managing partner at his investment office at Manual Life Securities in Markham, Ontario. He's married with 2 children, and he's a strong supporter of community development and self-help initiatives. He has worked on youth issues and social justice issues for many years, and is currently first vice president of the Walnut Foundation. My guest this evening is Anthony Henry. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be here this evening to share this with you.
It's a pleasure having you. And I'm glad that we're having you during this month of November, because we're going to be talking about something that revolves around this month, and we'll get more into that. But you're the first vice president of the Walnut Foundation. For people who do not know, what is the Walnut Foundation?
The Walnut Foundation is a men's health support group. We're based in Brampton, Ontario. And basically, the group started as a way of men giving back and to end the secrecy around the whole notion of prostate cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, but just for folks who are watching and listening that may not know, why is it called the Walnut Foundation?
The walnut is in reference to the prostate.
Right.
Yes. And so every man has a prostate, as your audience is aware. And the prostate is the size of a walnut.
Right.
And hence the Walnut Foundation, to make that connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what inspired you? How did you become involved with the Walnut Foundation?
For me personally, prostate cancer is very dominant in my family.
Right.
My father died from it, was diagnosed at 64, died at 68. I have a brother who's had prostate cancer.
Right.
And myself was diagnosed at age 54.
Right.
So that was for me, the reason for getting in and getting involved in the whole process. The organization, though, was founded by Dr. Winston Isaac,
right,
head of the School of Health Sciences Management at Ryerson University. So he and co-founder Simon Samuel were the ones that got together back in 2007 to get this group up and running. And again, as I said, the whole thing is to, end the secrecy around prostate cancer and to educate the men in our community. A number of our members are prostate cancer survivors. So there's a lot of men running around in our organization that has that expertise. We're not medical doctors. So we're here to provide and share our experiences with the community. And the hope really is that we can improve health outcomes for our community. i.e., getting tested early, getting that baseline PSA test and digital rectal exam early, and being monitored early, right? Because we think early detection, education, better understanding can really move the bar in terms of you know how our community deals with prostate cancer, and and level off to some extent, bring some equity to how we are being impacted by prostate cancer.
Right. Well, twice you mentioned the secrecy around prostate cancer. Why the secrecy? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with one, lack of knowledge,
Right.
uh, you know, two, the prostate, that hinges on sexuality, of
Right.
course, and virility. And no one wants to know or think that, or let it be known that somehow, you know, they're not as good as they were maybe when they were in their 20s.
Right.
So there's that issue around it.
So
But the
is
reality
it all
is that we're more than our sexuality.
right, right, right? So I'm wondering if that also has to do with the male ego or our ego as men.
Of course, that's a part of it too. I mean, the ego, um, you know, and with that also comes a lot of misinformation.
Right, right. It is said that 1 in 9 men in Canada will develop prostate cancer, and 1 in 29 will die from it. It is also said that these rates are higher in men of West Indian and Caribbean descent. Do we know why that is?
Well, that's still a mystery, but it seems to be that men from West Africa
Right,
and the Caribbean area, and into the southern United States, we tend to have a more aggressive form of prostate cancer when diagnosed. Okay, but the whole issue of the why, that's still being looked into
right,
by researchers and people in the field at the different medical facilities in like Sunnybrook and some of these other hospitals in the area.
right. It is also said that 70% of Black Canadians are not aware that we're at a higher risk for prostate cancer.
And
That number seems very high.
that's a real problem, because if we're being impacted more,
Right,
it stands to reason that we should know or be aware of it. A study was done a few years ago by the Canadian Cancer Society, which at the time was Prostate Cancer Canada. And what
right,
that study found was that our community was not aware that we were being impacted more by prostate cancer, right? So if you don't know, then you're not going to go looking for early testing. We recommend that for our community, we start testing, getting that baseline PSA or prostate specific antigen test done
right.
at age 40, right? Whereas the standard for the wider community is to start at age 50.
Okay. Okay.
So if we are aware of this, then we will start getting tested earlier. And when the problem arises, then we could deal with it earlier.
So is it that men from other cultures, let's say European men, is it that they're more informed? Is it that they're more willing to get the test done? What is happening?
Again, I think a part of it is lack of knowledge.
Okay.
A part of that too is, what you touched on earlier about the ego, the masculine, the machismo
Right.
thing
Right.
on there. That's certainly a part of it. But also, we have to know that we are at higher risk,
Right. Hmm.
but our caregivers also have to recognize that we are at a higher risk, right? So, if we're not aware, and if our caregivers treat us like the normal population, then we won't start getting our PSA tests done early or digital exams done early, right? Um, to our detriment, right? So that's a part of the issue.
Well, on your website, you have 7 key messages that are pivotal to men's health. For example, you talk about knowing your family history. You mentioned the second one, getting screened early, get to know your doctor, know your numbers, participate in research, join a men's health group, and of course, donation. Is there, if you were to look at these 7 things that you mentioned, is there one that you would say is number one for men to be aware of?
I think you have to know your numbers. One of our founder or co-founder, Dr. Isaac, he
Right.
always said, know your numbers. And oh, by the way, this does not only go for prostate cancer. It's the same. One could argue for diabetes or
Right.
hypertension. It's important to be aware of your numbers. What
Very good to know. Yes.
your particular
Right.
situation, right? Because knowing your numbers dictates then how you deal with your
Right.
situation, right?
Yeah. Um, knowing your family history. Just before we started the program, I was telling you that my dad was diagnosed with prostate. He had problems with his prostate and had to undergo surgery. And so I know that ran in my family. So as I was mentioning to you, from age 40, I started testing my prostate. And over 11 years ago, I found out I had an enlarged prostate and had to deal with that. The Walnut Foundation only deal with men with prostate cancer. Is that, or let's say someone has an enlarged prostate, or is it just the men who have been diagnosed with prostate cancer?
So the impetus for the group was prostate cancer.
Okay.
Okay. However, there are men that come in with, they might just have an enlarged prostate,
Right.
which is not cancer. As
Correct.
in age, the prostate gets larger
Right.
and can constrict the flow of urine,
Right.
right? Or causes urgency or that kind of thing. Okay? So the men that come to our group, some will come because they want to know more about prostate cancer.
Right.
Some have prostate cancer as a part of the issue in their family, like
Right.
myself. Uh, uh, However, there are men in the group who do not have a prostate issue. Their issue might be hypertension or diabetes, or
Mm.
they just want to know more about men's health issues, right? And share their experience. So it's a sharing type of environment where men can, safely come together. We normally meet on a Sunday afternoon, pre-COVID, but since COVID, we've kind of migrated, like the church, to the online platform.
Right.
So you adapt as time goes by, and so we do more than prostate.
Okay.
The
Very good.
important thing, though, is that it's men who've been diagnosed or have something to share coming together to share. And as I said before, ending that secrecy around diseases and prostate cancer in particular.
Okay.
Because, there is life after prostate cancer.
Of course. I totally believe that. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
Thank you.
On the Let's Talk television program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. And if you've just joined us, I'm speaking with Anthony Henry. He's the first vice president of the Walnut Foundation. And we're having a very important conversation for men, spouses, children, grandchildren. We're talking about something that is important to men's health. We're talking about prostate and prostate cancer. And so if you've joined us, glad you've joined us, and hopefully you will get some information that will help you as we think about men's health. Early detection saves lives. Save lives. If caught early, you have lots of options. You just talk about men. Is it that we men don't care to visit a doctor? We talk about men's health. I'm from the islands. When I grew up in the islands, we never really went to the doctor until something serious happened.
Sure. And many of us are proud of saying we don't go to the doctor.
Of course. Is that one of the problems? Because I realize that early detection would save lives, but I wonder sometimes, how is it that a man will go to the doctor after the test is done, he realizes that he's at stage 3, stage 4. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, how does that happen? Wasn't there any kind of indication before that happened?
One of the issues with prostate cancer is that you might not show any symptoms.
Right.
Okay. There might be subtle changes in, like urgency,
right,
meeting, that type of thing, but there might not necessarily be a specific, marker that
right.
there's something
Mm-hmm.
going on, right? So again, if you go to like myself and many others that I've talked to, we only know because we're monitoring. We're doing
right.
at our annual physical, we're getting that blood test, that PSA
mm-hmm.
test. PSA is prostate specific antigen. So it's
right.
something in the blood that's a marker, right? That indicates, if there's something going on. And that something going on could be just an inflammation of the prostate. Mm-hmm. Or it could be, you mentioned an enlarged prostate before, or it could be prostate cancer.
Right.
So the PSA test and the digital exam, where the doctor inserts a glove finger into the anus to check the prostate to see if there's any rough spots, right? That might indicate something is going on.
Right.
So these are tools that are used, the PSA test, the digital exam, and then they might refer you on to do a biopsy or something like that, where they take actual samples and test them under a microscope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How, between the PSA and the DRE, the digital rectal examination, mm-hmm. which do you find is more effective, or is there one that's more effective than the other?
It's a combination of tools that they use.
Okay. Right.
So you got your PSA, which is, not invasive at all, just a blood test.
Right.
Your DRE, which are a little bit more invasive. And then you have your biopsy. The biopsy actually stages or tells you how aggressive your form of cancer is. Mm-hmm. So, like for myself, my sample was indicated to be slow growing, indolent, and so not necessarily needing treatment.
Mm.
So when we say early detection can mean uh, in the could well will suggest sort of which treatment path you should go on. You could go on active surveillance, where they just monitor you, and maybe if that cancer never grows, you don't have to do anything for many.
Okay.
But if it's more aggressive, then they would recommend surgery or radiation or brachytherapy or some combination of all of those.
Okay. So prostate cancer is not something that happens overnight.
It's a slower, generally slower growing kind of cancer.
Right. Okay.
So you can live for a very long time with prostate cancer if caught early and the appropriate treatment is brought to your particular type of cancer, prostate cancer.
Okay. So let's just say I'm diagnosed with prostate cancer. What's the next step? What are the next steps that I need to take?
So the biopsy would kind of help there, right?
Okay.
Because they can stage the cancer.
Right.
You know, is it Gleason 6 or 7, right? Is it fast growing, slow growing? Has it escaped the prostate, right? If it's within the prostate, it's a little bit easier to deal with.
Right.
And that again speaks to why we want to speak to men and get them tested early, because if the cancer is within the sac, the prostate,
Right.
then it's easier to treat. You can remove it, right? Or you could do brachytherapy or radiation. So you have some options when caught early. If you wait until it's too late and you show up at the doctor and you're stage 4, then your options are
of course. Yeah.
less.
Yeah. And so when would I seek the assistance of the Walnut Foundation?
You can seek the assistance of the Walnut Foundation from today. Like myself, for example, I joined in 2010, about 5 years before I was actually diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Right.
There's benefit to that.
Okay.
But typically, what we find is men will come to us when there's a problem, i.e., enlarged prostate, something going on there. They come to us to get some advice and input. Again, we are not doctors, but we're people who have experienced prostate cancer, and so we can bring some level of understanding and comfort to men who are diagnosed.
Right. Well, to be diagnosed with prostate cancer is a scary thing, so it's good to know that there are men who have gone through or have experienced, what you're experiencing. I think that's really comforting.
And willing to share, unlike my dad's day when there was no support.
Right. Now, there are cancer organizations whom you have co-partnered with and co-presented with. One of them is the Movember Foundation. This is November and Movember Foundation. Tell us a little bit more about the Movember Foundation, what they do.
Yeah, so Movember is a global organization.
Right.
And they fundraise for prostate cancer.
Right.
That was the initial impetus. And over time, recognizing that there are other problem areas in men's health, such as testicular cancer.
Right.
And a big one nowadays is men's mental health. For even our young men being impacted with mental health. So Movember brings resources to these areas. Research, they might support a peer program. For example, there's a peer navigation program. It's called the True North Peer Navigation Program, run by Princess Margaret Hospital. And two of our members are trained peer navigators, including myself.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
what that program seeks to do is to match men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so to the treatment modality. So let's say you're diagnosed
Right.
and they deem your cancer to be not of the aggressive variety, and you're going to go active surveillance, then they might match you with somebody like myself.
Okay.
Whereas if the treatment option recommended for you is surgery, then they might match you or pair you with somebody who's doing surgery, or if the recommendation is radiation or brachytherapy, and so on and so forth, then they'll match you accordingly. Or sometimes some of the men are not sure which option to take.
Right.
So then the doctor might say, well, you might want to talk to this person because they did brachytherapy. You might want to take a look at that. But you might want to do active surveillance to start, right? So while you're on active surveillance, then you can investigate other treatment options so that when the time comes, you're prepared and ready. You know what to expect.
Right. So Movember is about growing your hair or your mustache for about 30 days.
And I have a little bit going here.
Okay. So tell me about, you're involved in the annual Walk the Path walkathon, and I think that's your main fundraiser for the Walnut Foundation. Is that true?
So, our main fundraiser is the annual Walk the Path walkathon, and we do that in June of each year.
Right.
Specifically for this period, we're fundraising for Movember.
Right.
And folks can donate to us by going to, there's a website. I can give that. It's the team website is https://
Okay.
ca.movember.com team /2339819. Or they can simply get in touch with me, TonyHenry0261 at gmail.com. Again, TonyHenry0261 at gmail.com.
Okay. My time is almost up, and I had so much more I wanted to ask you, but let me close with this. Prostate cancer, like I said, can be very scary. There may be men watching us this evening that has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and this is scary for them. What words of encouragement would you leave with them just before we go?
Prostate cancer, a diagnosis of prostate cancer does not have to be a death sentence.
Right.
It's important to know your family history. It's important to get that baseline PSA done as soon as possible. We recommend age 40 for Black men.
Right.
Right. And, get cracking on it. Reach out to the Walnut Foundation at www.thewalnutfoundation.com.
Right.
Or email us info@thewalnutfoundation.com. And we'll be more than happy to provide you with any assistance we can from a layman's perspective.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know you say it's a layman's perspective, but it's laymen who have tremendous experience. I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I appreciate the information you've shared. I hope that this was beneficial to those of us who are watching, not just men, but our spouses and those who care about men as we journey. God bless you and keep up the good work.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Peace.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us this evening. This topic was not an easy topic, but I think it's one that was very informative. And I would like to encourage our men, especially men in our Black community, to make note of the information that was shared, especially making sure that you're visiting your doctor regularly, you're getting the PSA test done, and making sure that you're staying healthy. I'd like to encourage spouses to encourage their husbands, men in your life, just to ensure that we're doing that. As a Christian, I would like to couple the tests and visiting your doctor with the fact that I believe in prayer. I believe that, yes, we should see our doctor, we should get the test done, but I also believe that we serve a God who cares about every aspect of our lives. And so make sure that you're coupling that with prayer. If you're not a Christian, man, I want to tell you that God loves you. We're getting close to Christmas, the Advent season, and I want to tell you that Jesus Christ came, he was born, he was crucified, they buried him, he rose again from the dead, and he did all of that so that you and I would have life and have it more abundantly. So I pray that you will come to know him as Savior. If you don't know him, just call upon him and he will answer. He will hear and he will answer you. Lastly, remember, we appreciate your prayerful and financial support. We're always looking for your prayerful support. This is a ministry, and as any ministry, we need your prayerful support, but we also need your financial support. And so you can send us an e-transfer at donate@cogp.ca. You can text to give 289-769-9200, or you can mail here at our office, which is at 5145 Tompkin Road, Mississauga, L4W1P1. God bless you. See you next time. Let's keep talking, and especially talking about prostate cancer and men's health. God bless you.
On the Let's Talk television program, we share solutions to real-life problems with real people, showing how faith guides everyone through the storms of life. We talk about tough issues that affect all generations. Our conversations help you learn, grow, and lead. Help us continue with this great work by partnering with us today. Call 905-625-1278, extension 233, or visit letstalkca.org. We look forward to your partnership with us to change lives. Let's Talk, revealing the heart of Christ through engaging media conversations.
Sometimes you walk through life alone, wondering if anyone understands what you are going through, hoping someone will listen and offer a word to make your day. The Church of God of Prophecy offers unconditional love and support, regardless of what you are going through. Visit cogop.ca for a location near you. The Church of God of Prophecy, developing authentic disciples of Christ.